Hey guys, Phil/Polygon here. Welcome to episode 27, talking more Dark Souls 2 PvP. Talking arena PvP this time out. We're participating in some arena fights in the good old BoB. The Brotherhood of Blood, not the cute haircut, just for clarity. And I must say, I'm having a pretty good time. It's kind of surprising because I have made some disparaging remarks about the arenas in the past. I've liked a lot of videos that have given guff to the arenas in the past, but I'm trying to go at it with a little bit more fair and balanced mindset. I kind of changed my perspective a little bit, and I'm surprising myself. I'm having a pretty good time. Not winning. You'll notice I have no aura. I am a constant 50% player in the arena, at least the way I'm doing it. It's about win one, lose one, win one, lose one constantly. But the glow, that fancy schmancy glow, has never really been my goal. I am trying to learn a lot and take away a lot and treat these more as sparring matches. So I'll talk a little bit about the mindset I've been going in here and kind of what changed and why I'm having fun with it now where it was giving me so much grief in the past. I should also point out that these clips were captured around the 4th of July, so they're a little bit aged, and they were pre-106 patch, so you'll see some pretty crazy damage discrepancies that got balanced a little bit more after the most recent patch, especially on my end. Always kind of a heartwarming moment to poke a guy full on for a whopping 87 points of damage. But yeah, talking arenas, that's it. Here we go. Always heartwarming to poke a guy full on. What an unfortunate choice of words. So I'll kick it off with a look at my build. I'm 40-40 at 193. Some other various stats leveled up as you see there. I think 193 might be a little high or low. I don't really know what's going on in the arenas. I'm sure there's a good slice of 150s out there, but I'm also sure there's a good slice of 838s out there. All my gear is maxed out. I did want to call out that Ring of Blades +1. This is actually my PvE build, and on this particular character, I just never found myself wandering back into the throne room to get the Ring of Blades +2. So I feel like that's a little bit unoptimized. And in general, I feel fairly ill-equipped to participate in serious arena matches, both with weapon choices and armor choices, rings, and I'm not buffing my weapons. I'm not stacking any kind of sacred oaths or great magic barriers or anything like that. I'm just kind of going out there as is, trying to duke it out the best that I can. And I wanted to point all that stuff out because it kind of leads into my first realization, or my first topic, I guess, on the arena. I feel the approach I'm taking, no buffs, just, you know, whatever weapons you like and are having fun with, is pretty diametrically opposed to the way that most people are going about their arena fights. I feel like the vast majority of people are really putting together arena builds and stacking high defenses, hard-hitting, fast-swinging weapons, you know, stacking buffs and all that kind of thing, and I cannot begrudge them that at all. I absolutely get it, especially on the BoB side, where you can rank down in the Covenant. You can lose your fancy schmancy aura if you drop too many matches, and anytime something like that is implemented, people are going to take this shit seriously. People are going to do whatever they can to win and, you know, just keep advancing within the Covenant. And I get that. Like I said, I cannot begrudge anybody that. And that's one of those things that was sort of an eye-opener. It sounds kind of naive to say that. It sounds kind of stupid. It's like, well, yeah. That's one of those things I had to accept and ultimately learn to really love coming into the arena. With this particular setup, at least, I'm going to be the underdog in a lot of fights. And I'm choosing to play that way, and I really like the way that it's kind of making my game evolve. I have to, I feel at least, like I have to work pretty fucking hard and be pretty smart to eke out every little win, because I'm not going to be able to rely on super high damage output. I'm not going to be able to rely on tanking a ton of hits, or, you know, huge hard-hitting spells or anything like that. I just kind of gotta grind. And I really, really dig that. It's making me pay a lot of attention to my opponents, what they're doing. It makes me learn from my mistakes. I have to be fairly selective, I guess, with my attacks. I can't go in and just swing willy-nilly again without that super high damage output. My winged spear here, which I love that thing. I love that thing since Demon Souls. I loved it in Dark Souls, even when spears were a little bit taboo. Is weak as crap, man. I am poking these guys for nothing, even with my Leo ring counters. And so, you know, I feel like I have to just work hard and try to be smart and just plain get better if I want to have any kind of success. And I've come to really, really like that about hanging out in the arena and participating in these matches. Let me also say, I am not insinuating that I'm going to come out of this as some kind of top tier player. After seeing what a lot of you guys are doing out there and watching videos from a lot of really talented uploaders, I have lost all confidence that I'm going to be any kind of top tier player. But if I can come out of this slightly more competent at Dark Souls 2 PvP than I am currently, I'm going to take my time in the arena as a win. I'll take it as a success. As long as I can keep coming away with lessons, I will keep coming back. And that kind of segues into something else I've been thinking about too, that I feel is really accentuated in the arenas and also in Dark Souls 2 in general. And that's the difference between winning and being good. Air quote good, because I don't really know what that means. I have noticed that in a lot of these things, a lot of these arena matches, this is probably going to sound a little bit arrogant on my part, maybe a little bit naive, and maybe I'm just not good enough to know better, but I feel in many of my matches, my losses were not because I necessarily got outplayed. It's not, there were very few times I can remember where I ran into somebody who I just said, shit, that guy was a champion. I feel like most of the times when I lose, it's because I fucked up. It's because I was inexperienced at dealing with a certain situation. It's because maybe I failed to read what my opponent was doing. Maybe I mistimed a roll. It was some mistake on my part where I would drop the match. And I get really frustrated about that kind of thing when I go on losing streaks, losing to guys that I feel didn't necessarily play better than me, but just hit harder or had super high defense that I was just kind of tickling with my attacks and things like that. You know, your Oberon versus the Mountain type situation. Apropos, because I'm rocking a spear, where you can just kind of dominate the entire fight and whittle away your opponent, and then just in one lapse of concentration, the thing just shatters. And I was thinking about that in terms of maybe contributing to why people are so frustrated with Dark Souls 2 PvP, especially a lot of the people that were really good at Dark Souls PvP. Because if you are constantly running up to situations or coming into situations where you're getting beat by guys you don't feel are really bringing anything to the table, they're just hitting hard or they're just using tactics that are easy to exploit or something like that, it can get really frustrating, and it can absolutely lead to a lot of the conversations of, oh, the game is broken, the mechanics are broken. And I'm not saying it's not, I'm not saying it is, but I wonder if just kind of that situation, Dark Souls 2 more than any of the other Souls games, seems like it makes it easy to be successful. It seems like it makes it easy to win a lot of fights versus the other two. What are your thoughts on that? Have you felt that? I find myself getting into a lot of those losing streak, you know, disparaging thoughts. Let me know about that. Is that something you've noticed? Maybe that's just all in my head. And so for me personally, I've tried, or am trying, to kind of shift my focus from, oh, you know, my opponent was a scrub, cheap tactics, whatever, to looking very critically at myself in terms of what I'm doing or not doing, or what I failed to execute, or why I lost those matches when I felt like I shouldn't have, so that I can take away some kind of improvement to not do that kind of thing in the past. It's like, okay, now I know that this dude with the dual halberds is just waiting for me to swing so he can poise through it and beat the shit out of me with his significantly more powerful strikes. He wants to trade. He's waiting for me to come out of a roll. And so I need to be careful with my footwork. I need to put in a little bit more dancing, whatever it is, just so that I'm better equipped to deal with those situations in the future. And, you know, not to harp on it too much, but I'm trying to take that method of thinking into dealing with mechanics of the game that I don't like as well. I mean, I'm choosing to play this thing. I need to be able to deal with these kinds of things. And so if I find myself attacking in some random direction after coming out of a roll, swinging in completely the opposite direction, I need to say, okay, I need to make some kind of little correction on that. Don't do that again in the future. So I'm just trying to be a little bit more positive and learn from some of these things. Pause for a second. So I have never been able to figure out how to deal with these guys, these super heavily armored poise punchers. who just get up in your face, poise through all of your hits. Poise seems to be working fine, by the way. I don't know if that was the result of a patch or whatnot, but my little spear does not seem to be staggering a lot of people. But yeah, those guys that just get right up in your face, say, come on, hit me, and then just R1L1, R1L1, R1L1 all day long. I've heard pyromancy, like combustion, works really great against those guys. Yeah, there was some poise. It's probably just my weapon combination, but if you've got a surefire way to deal with those kinds of dudes, a barium, I guess I could whip out my shield. Let me know, what's the trick? But yeah, just trying to be a little bit more critical of myself. I have to accept the fact that the game is the way that it is. So it's my responsibility to not fall victim to the whining quicksand, but just kind of deal with it, learn how to play with it the way that it is. Jester Havel. I always get this is an aside, I actually get such a kick out of these guys that roll the Jester's chest with the Havel's arms and legs and then a helm of choice. Maybe I'm just misreading it, but I always get the impression those guys feel they have put something really clever together. No backstab, super high defense, super high poise everywhere else, and that the helmet gives you fashion. That's the variety in your build. And again, I'm not making fun of anybody, I'm not begrudging anybody. The combination makes a lot of fucking sense, but I always just get such a kick out of seeing it for whatever reason. Man, those came out weird. Kind of cleaned my clock a little bit. But I think this might be the start of some clips I put together for one last point, one last observation about the arena that I'm also kind of digging. Have you noticed that a lot of these guys are running plays? And what I mean by that is they're going straight from a playbook. They're not necessarily playing to you. They're not really paying attention to you. They just have these rehearsed routines of combinations that they are firing off one after the other. Have you guys noticed that? It seems like a lot of people in the arena are just kind of on autopilot. They almost behave like AI. They are just programmed to do these certain things and then just keep doing them over and over and over again. One of the things I've really enjoyed about the arena is identifying a lot of those and being able to go up against them regularly and learn from them and then have it in your bag of tricks to deal with down the road. Here's an example. Ouch. So that is classic. Like somebody fires up a homing crystal soul mass and they'll fire some sort of slow projectile at you, and as you dodge into it and they see their homing crystal soul mass go off, they just start swinging wildly because they're assuming you're going to roll through it and then you'll roll right into the swing. Classic. And that's a really effective, really catchy maneuver to pull. I'm sure they get a lot of guys with that. I'm sure it's a very successful thing because I see it everywhere. And then they just get a little bit of space, back up, and if you let them, they'll just repeat the process ad nauseum. And it's one of those things that if you don't know how to deal with it, if you haven't seen it before, it's going to eat your lunch, man. It is just going to hurt a lot. And so this time I saw the same type of thing and I'm trying something different. So I back up a little bit and try and dodge through it so I don't activate the homing crystal soul mass. I failed to dodge the swing spam, but I think that's one of those things where as I get more experienced, as I see it more and more, that is never going to be a problem again. And it's one of those things where I feel like a lot of people have those tricks, and when you're able to effectively deal with them, they got nothing else. I'm greatly looking forward to that day when I have seen all this stuff before and am equipped to deal with it. I am definitely not there yet, so again, throwing back to the not a top tier player. But yeah, the autopilot fixed routine thing I just found pretty interesting, and I see a lot of that kind of thing in the arena. I'd actually be curious to hear what else you guys have seen in that milieu. What other hotshot combinations are people just firing off constantly? Because I'm kind of fascinated by it, because it's basically just fight choreography. I mean, it's got to have a ceiling, right? There will come a day when the player base has seen it enough that it's no longer effective. People know how to deal with it. And even in the arenas, when you're seeing the same people over and over and you're showing them your tricks, you're basically giving them no out except to learn how to beat it. And if that's the only play that you have, just these little secret pop wogs as somebody tries to roll through an attack. I mean, that was awesome. I'd never seen that before. I hadn't experienced that before, and he caught me with it something fierce. But now I know when I'm fighting this guy, I'm gonna look out for that, especially when he's rocking that chime in the offhand. So he'll try it a couple more times, and it's just, I've seen it before. Nope. So I'm having a ton of fun trying to learn people's little tricks and just stash them away in the memory banks for future occurrences and stuff like that. And learning a lot of stuff that people do after baiting you into an attack. They'll try and bait you and then put something together, and it's kind of, I'll learn a ton from that in terms of, oh my god, I didn't know the X chained into Y. That's pretty cool. And I think that's all I got, for now at least, regarding the arena. That guy really wants the parry. Noble effort. But I will definitely upload some future clips of fights, especially after the patch. Like I mentioned, this was pre-106. So if you've noticed, the damage output from my spear has been pretty laughable. It did get a boost with the most recent calibration or whatnot. Not OP by any means, it's very much UP, but it is doing a little bit better. So I'm curious to keep exploring changes from that. I am going to keep on learning. In conclusion, I will do a little summary here. So in conclusion, I hated the arena at first because I thought it was going to be clean fights. Idiocy on my part, especially with the mechanics in there that penalize you for losing, reward you for winning. I thought it was just going to be all duels. Like, I thought the arena was going to be nothing but honor duels. And it wasn't until I kind of broke away from that mindset and came back trying to learn some things, trying to do things a little bit differently, that I had some fun with it. I will say legitimate fun. I am having fun in the arena these days. So let me know your experiences with it. You are absolutely gonna run into the arena pros 838s with armor out the ass and weapons that can 1 or 2 shot kill you. A lot of backstab fishers with the daggers and stuff like that. One thing I've noticed post-patch, not a lot of Gower's rings anymore. I was seeing those crawling out of the woodwork, and those seem to have dissipated quite a bit with the nerf that it took. But I'll save all that kind of stuff and talk about it in a future video. So for now, I'm going to cap it. Quick little channel news update thing. Still working on the no death run. I have not abandoned that. I got a hilarious comment from James, who was like, dude, I thought you haven't uploaded in a while. I thought your no death run ended in real life. And I laughed at that. I'm still alive. I'm here. I'm fine. Just been busy. So I'm going to jump back on that. It is still going. The Adventures of Young Santa. And try and get back on the horse in terms of regular uploads and things like that. Because I've still got a bunch of stuff to explore and learn, as was the theme of this entire thing. So, as always, thanks a ton for watching. Let me know what you think. Give me a thumbs up, thumbs down. Thumbs down, man. If you don't like any of these videos, the no death run with the PvE thing or whatnot, spam the shit out of that dislike. Let me know if that's not something that you guys are digging. But otherwise, comments always welcome. Thanks again, and I will catch you next time. See ya.